It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
It's you liberals who have lifted them up, Howard.
Paul, you conservatives make a mistake. You can't afford to strangle hope in people. Without hope, people become dangerous.
No, Howard. You liberals have let them invade our society. You give them jobs, political jobs.
Paul, you missed the point. It's only the smart ones we move up.
That makes it even worse.
No, we have to move them up. If we leave a smart one in the ghetto, he might develop into a leader against us. But if we raise him up into white society, we neutralize him.
It really boils down to our ability to accept. We don't need pessimism.
What he means by pessimism is resistance. And that's what COINTELPRO was all about, stopping the resistance.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change.
We hide it in plain sight. One of Plato's greatest works was the allegory of the cave. I feel in order to understand the political matrix, we need only to look into this allegory. We first have to open our minds to the possibility everything is not as it seems. That things we've always known to be truth may be lies. For if we can't perceive the lies we've ingested, we can't see the bars on our mental conditioning. For that is how you walk out of the cave and see the political matrix. Hello, everybody. Let me get myself centered real quick. Got a little twisted up in my cording and stuff. So, all right. Yeah, there we go. So let's see. Apologies about having to switch things around. Try to accommodate a little bit for Teal, and hopefully it works, and she should be able to make it. But nonetheless, we still got plenty of show to go, and I can take care of, you guys know I can run this solo if I need to, and then she'll be back. So we will go there. Dang it, I forgot my spoon. That's kind of hot. All right, so I see Yonina was here a little early. Shout out to Yonina. Misfit 1904. Ronnie Omelets, hello again. He says, am I early or late to the party? Now you're just right. Spirit of Age, shout out. See, we're getting a whole lot of love on the Rumble side, so definitely appreciating that. And for the Rumble audience, I will make sure that we set up we'll set up a stream on Rumble that'll be a Rumble exclusive. That way speak more freely, like people on the Rumble side are a lot more accustomed to. And one thing I do like about being a little bit earlier on Sundays is if the show starts to run a little bit longer than planned, I'm able to stick around longer, answer questions and stuff. If you guys didn't see, I was on Saturday Night Anarchy last night. Very, very fun show to be on. Nice conversation, and they got a good show over there. And shout out to Steve again for allowing us to stream over on his network also. So that is always a plus. I was trying to fix my Facebook so that it can open up the streaming to everybody to be able to see it, but for some reason it's not allowing me to do that on Facebook anymore. So maybe I've pissed somebody off on that side. So I'm just gonna keep on rolling with the show. Oh, it's Tom. Okay, cool. It's good to see you, brother. It was fun over there. I definitely enjoyed it. We got to really go into many different topics that you never know what's going to come up. So it's fun to just have a good conversation. So I'm gonna kind of go into Trump bombs Iran. What's next? And it's something that I kind of want to talk about because I find that I tend to be an outlier on the way I see some of these things. And just like Morpheus from the movie The Matrix, how he believed in prophecy, and it kind of set him aside from people he's even aligned with. Not that it put him in disagreement, as in the overall goal, but it put him in just disagreement in his beliefs in the way he approached the situations. And I feel like I'm that way in a sense with plenty of people, which I'm aligned with also, because they don't necessarily believe what I believe. It gives me a different vantage point that I look from, and they could be right, I could be wrong. I mean, so it'll be found out later on. As you guys seen in the movie The Matrix, Morpheus was right and he was wrong also. So I'm not beyond, this mentality of believing that, what, I have definite truth, I know everything, or somebody else knows everything. And that's how it should be. We should all be trying to use the best of our faculties to study and pay attention to what's going on and be discernment, be discerning of everything. Big part of my faith is it says we need to be the watchers on the wall. And so we need to be watching for what's going on out there. And that's the only way that we can properly try to inform and be a warning. It's not necessarily that you always have the ability to stop or change things, or that you even know the remedy for the solution. But if you can at least diagnose it, or else give a good hypothesis of what's going on, maybe somebody else might be able to figure out solutions. So that's the best you can do. Let's see. Yes, it was a great show. Let's see, Soul is in the building. It's always good to see you, my man. Says much love, Black people. Always much love all people, but definitely Black people too. So before I get into my viewpoints and my thoughts and breaking out a bunch of stuff, because I do have a bunch of stuff I could go into. But first, I do have a question. I want to start this question out. And for anybody who's in the chat who sees somebody new coming in who didn't hear me ask this question and want to weigh in on it, let them know to voice your opinions. I know everybody is not a person of faith, and you don't actually have to be. But there is the shortest book of the Bible is literally one of my favorites. And if you guys want me to, I will read that book. The book is called the Book of Obadiah, and it's in your Bible. I mean, if you skip past it too quickly, when you hit Malachi, it's a little bit before, but it literally goes into the destruction of a nation called Edom. And so I just want to read it, put it out there, and see if you guys see any correlations, or if it can be fruitful for anything that we're going through or that you see going on in the world. I'm not gonna go into it and break anything down, because this ain't the stream for that. But if you guys want me to read it, then I will read into the Book of Obadiah. And I know if Yonina's here, I already know what her answer is going to be. But if you guys don't want to hear it, cool, we can keep on rolling. But I want to show you guys a couple of things which I saw that was kind of interesting before we get on to the Netanyahu thing. Please, no Abrahamic wives. Why we are all here right now at war with Iran. Okay, all right. That's one vote. So we'll go from there. But something that I did see that I wanted to bring up. Let me put this on the screen. I got one that's saying read it. I see two that are saying read it. So yes, I keep seeing those. Okay, we got another one saying they're down for it. All right, I'll keep that in mind. So I saw this story. I want to start with this one. Anwojiki to buy back 23andMe and its data for $305 million. Anwojiki's nonprofit will acquire substantially all of 23andMe's assets for $305 million, the company announced Friday. 23andMe filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in March. Last month, Regeneron announced it would purchase most of 23andMe's assets for $256 million, but it was outbid. Now, that's the headline alone, but what we need to try to think about is, why did they go bankrupt? Did they go bankrupt because they were having financial issues? Was it a planned bankruptcy so that they could do something else? Like, what do you guys think? Why would they go bankrupt and then she pops back around with 305 million with all these other investors in no time to be able to purchase it right back? I mean, it just seems a little funny to me. I know in the meantime, you did have a whole bunch of people's DNA, which was just kind of left out there in the wind. You had a lot of people's DNA that was sold to other companies and stuff like that. And my thesis, my hypothesis, my thinking on the situation is that whole Chapter 11 bankruptcy, that whole purpose was to allow this information to get out to certain hands. And by the company being in a form of Chapter 11 and she technically not having control of it, it takes blame and responsibility off of her if certain things were allowed to happen. So I just thought that was very interesting. Broad Souder says, not familiar, would enjoy hearing. Yeah, it's supposed to be a book that talks about a little bit of prophecy that's supposed to befit a certain nation. And I just think it's kind of interesting to kind of go into it because, especially in the modern church, this is like one subject that they don't even go into. They don't touch. This is a book that's in everybody's Bible everywhere that they never even read into. And when I ran across it, I realized why. You know, the church is like basically great at motivational speaking, and let's not ignore everything else. And God is benevolent, but God literally tells you he's great and terrible at the same time. So he literally in one breath does tell you he's great, and in another breath he tells you that I command evil, I do all this. But it's convenient to ignore the complexity of it. Just like in human beings, none of us are all good and none of us are all bad. I mean, none of us are always perfect and always doing the right thing. And I think and understanding anything, it's always better to be completely transparent with it and see both sides of all these different issues and lay out everything. And no matter what we're talking about. And I'm going to kind of lay out some of my viewpoints once we get into the whole bombing of Iran and just my thoughts on it without any kind of without looking at it from the aspect of other people and some of the other thoughts. So you guys will get to hear mine unadulterated, and hopefully it's profitable. Hopefully it gives you guys something to think about. Shout out to Chamonique. I see Dingo. What's up, Dingo? But I just wanted to bring up that whole 23andMe thing, because how many people are out there using it? And I've also kind of, even though I know that most of my DNA is kind of out there and there's not much I could do about it, and maybe I'm being a little overly paranoid about doing any of this kind of, DNA stuff. I believe that it's a good way for when they do want to come after people, they can use your genomes and stuff like that to kind of target things your way. That's all I'll say, because I don't need more videos yanked down on YouTube. But for you guys who get what I'm laying down, hopefully you do. And then for those who don't and you do, and you're big in the Rumble audience, remind me next time I'm on a Rumble stream to kind of go into it. The End Imperialism says, too much sun today, little sleepy, how you be? A little sleepy myself. I don't really have my coffee in my system, but that is not going to stop the show. Yo, my cousin's in the building. What's up, Ladarius? Hey, if you want to hop in, man, let me know. I'll send you a link. And shout out to his channel, Grow As We Go. he's growing with the family, and he's showing you guys, about getting back to growing our own food. And I think that's something that's very, very, very important that we all should be trying to do if you have the ability to. Even if you're just in an apartment and you got a little balcony or something like that, you can put potted plants out there and grow your own herbs and a couple of different things. So shout out to him, and hopefully we can push that message more. What's up, yo, Nina? Man, gotta spread that DNA around. That's a good one. Let's see. What's the next thing that I wanted to bring up before we get into the main topic? I guess I'll save that funny one for a little bit later. This is positive news right here that I did want to share also. Yeah, I want to share this one. It says Netherlands returns 119 artifacts looted from Nigeria. Pretty cool. I mean, I like when you hear that they return some of these artifacts, knowing that they have the ability to basically tell them to screw off and never give it to them, because it's not like Nigeria is going to go to war with Netherlands over artifacts. But it says here, Netherlands on Thursday returned 119 artifacts looted from Nigeria, including human and animal figures, plaques, royal regalia, and a bell. British soldiers looted the artifacts known as the Benin bronzes, and mostly housed in a museum in Leiden in the late 19th century. In recent years, museums across Europe and North America have moved to address ownership disputes over artifacts looted during the colonial era. Nigeria's National Commission for Museums and Monuments requested that they be returned. During the handover ceremony in Edo State, Abba Uware II, the second, the monarch and custodian of Benin culture, described the return of the artifacts as divine intervention. Nigeria's National Commission for Museums and Monuments requested that the Benin bronzes be returned. So if you guys wanted to check more into that story, it is in a site that I like to go to. I like to bounce around and check a bunch of different stuff, but this is from Africa News. And it basically, this channel in particular just goes through different news that you find on the African content, a lot of it that you won't hear in the rest of media. I just saw you put the channel on. Here it is. And that's his channel, Grow As We Go 25. Make sure you guys go and share my cousin's channel, show a little bit of love, support. Let's see, let's scroll down. Abundance is in the building. Yes, I am in imperialism. I'm trying to always try to throw some of that in there. I think I got I don't even know whether I can call this a positive story or not. I just think it's kind of wild and hilarious. And I noticed in the background, a couple of the people were obviously KU fans. So I was like, it caught my attention. So I'll go through it. I'll cover it. And I think I'll save it for after, so we're not ending on such a negative note with a lot of this stuff with the Iran stuff. Let's see. Yes, please, please, on the Obadiah scripture. I think because part of why I want to read it, even people who are not dogmatic about the Bible and don't want to hear about the Bible, I think it'll just surprise some people to hear that that's in there. And so I like when you find, I remember that now granted, you do have to find different translations sometimes to hear some of these more obscure verses, but I remember it was saying a self-willed woman is a bitch. I said, what? That's in the Bible. That's wild. And Bible actually gives when you get into Proverbs and Psalms, it gives a whole lot of giving you game on how to handle relationships and dating and stuff like that. So you don't even have to get into all the spiritual stuff, but it'll just tell you dealing with a bad woman is holding scorpions in your hands, so it lays down some good shit. Where's your girl Teal? Teal is at a photo shoot, I believe. So if she finishes in time, she'll swing through. Says not to be negative, but Chiefs still suck. It's all right. I mean, I like the competitiveness. It's fun. It's fun to have something where we can be contentious and fight about that is not going to end with somebody being majorly hurt. So competition is always fun. Competition banter is always the funnest thing. I'm probably, if you guys ever end up playing some kind of like sport with me or whatever, whether that's basketball, football, wrestling, video games, whatever, you guys will see I'm a very, very extremely competitive person. Although I try to hopefully, be a good sport, always win, lose, or draw. But I love competition. What can I say? Oh, Packers, good Lord. Here we go, that nonsense. That's why. Hey, wait a minute. I should have more of a gripe against a Packers fan than anything. I mean, you guys stomped us out in the first Super Bowl. Yeah, I can't. I'm kind of as far as rugby, I would have to be kind of neutral because I don't really know enough about rugby. I mean, I've seen some videos, and rugby is kind of looks like a cool sport. I just don't know really much about the rules, and I find that when you don't have a team, it's harder to be really engaged. Like I love basketball, for instance, but I don't like any of the teams. I mean, I like basketball, but I don't have a team which is like my team. So NBA is kind of like, yeah, I could care less what goes on these days. Especially basketball's just changed. But I know y'all didn't come here to hear me just rant and rave about sports. So I'll get myself back on topic. Cornhole does not belong. Yes, we can all agree. Cornhole does not belong on ESPN. That I definitely highly agree with. Let's see. Oh, so before we get into the main series, more serious. Shout out to Denver. I see Denver hop in there. I like some good badminton. Like I said, I love all kinds of sports. I mean, honestly, so I'm getting a little older and I can't be as active as I would have been younger. I wouldn't mind getting into a bowling league. Not that I'd be necessarily that great, but I mean, bowling's always fun. Where did the story go? So I saw this and I ran across it and I said, that is wild. This is wild. It says Army launches Detachment 201, Executive Innovation Corps to drive tech transformation. So it says Washington, the U.S. Army is established in Detachment 201, the Army's Executive Innovation Corps, a new initiative designed to fuse cutting-edge tech expertise with military innovation. On June 13, 2025, the Army will officially swear in 4 tech leaders. Det 201 is an effort to recruit senior tech executives to serve part-time in the Army Reserve as senior advisors. In this role, they will work on targeted projects to help guide rapid and scalable tech solutions to complex problems by bringing private sector know-how into uniform. Det 201 is supercharging efforts like Army Transformation Initiative, which aims to make the force leaner, smarter, and more lethal. Which, we saw what happened when Dick Cheney tried to do that, and it ended up dragging a war out much longer than it needed to be and causing a lot more casualties. But the new Army Reserve Lieutenant Colonels, I thought that was pretty interesting. They all jumped, and before I get into the companies, they're all jumping straight to Lieutenant Colonel, and I guarantee you they're probably going to advance them to Colonel in no time, and next thing you know, they're going to be generals. And if they somehow move these people from part-time, or they move them from just being reservists and they move them to full active duty at that high level, these people automatically come in with a ton of power. So just keep that in mind as I read this next part on which companies these people are coming from. The 4 new Army Reserve Lieutenant Colonels are Shyam Sankar, Chief Technology Officer for Palantir, Andrew Bosworth, Chief Technology Officer of Meta, Kevin Weil, Chief Product Officer of OpenAI, and Bob McGrew, advisor at Thinking Machines Labs and former Chief Research Officer for OpenAI. So we have Meta, we have OpenAI, and Palantir executives being given positions in power in the military. If people say we are not inching closer to fascism, then I don't know what is. I mean, we are literally seeing a complete, like, you know, Italy just basically were like, yo, CEO of like Ferrari, you're now in charge of, granted, I'm just throwing a company out there, but you're now in charge of a scary time, that I would say. Many people had to like spend years and years and years to get to these ranks. And so the fact that they're giving this kind of power away right away is sketchy. Is sketchy. It says drop a link. Here, let me grab this article. So copy, and here I'll drop the link for you all in the chat. Check this out. And there you go. Yeah, Meta, Palantir, OpenAI, might as well throw Skynet. Yeah, might as well throw Skynet in there, and that's where we all are. This is some of the stuff that I've been talking about for a while. And it's crazy. Before I get the time to actually put together the video, which I've been planning on doing, it's probably going to be outdated. Hey, what's up, Michael? See, Nihilo is in the building. By the time I drop the video, it's probably going to be outdated because I wanted to show a correlation between the fictional sci-fi and you know, tech movies, and how they tie together, and how we see a correlation of these things in the real world, whether that be the what was it, the Wayland, I'm forgetting the other one, Wayland something Tani, whether it be that one, whether it be like basically OCP, we're starting to see the stuff that they have been kind of throwing out to us through supposed fictional means. Wailing Yutani, that's what it is. We're starting to see, you know, these things like come about and come to fruition, and I don't know, I think dark days are definitely ahead. We've already seen it with like the robot dogs. We I just think that we're not too far from seeing an Ed 209 walking down the streets. And I did a video on it when I did the video, what was it? Revolutionaries, are you sure you're ready for, basically, are you sure you're ready for this, or something like that. They actually had a version of like an Ed 209 in production that they're working on. Now it's still kind of in experimental phase, but even the one in the movie never worked out perfectly. But that's where it looks like we're going. It says Power Rangers episode 201. Let's see. You said, Chris H said, maybe these people who made these movies saw this stuff in the real world and let it influence their films. That is a possibility. I've always thought that The Simpsons, to some degree, had to have had inside knowledge, that they weren't sitting up there just predicting the future, that somebody was either sending them information to put into their programming, or they already had information through secret societies or something like that, or maybe just knowing people within certain networks who were leaking information to them. So that's something I'm always worried about. Yeah, something like Chappie, iRobot, all of those things are things we need to worry about. Thomas says Executive Innovation Corp sounds like another colonial agenda, but using AI and robotic tech to subjugate the masses. Yes, all of this stuff all falls into that to one degree or another. But what I like to do is I like to try to dig into, the W's, the what, when, why, how, why, where. It's easy to say, yes, they're trying to control the masses. Yes, they're always trying to do that. They're always trying to subjugate us. They're always trying to pick our pocket. But why in particular? And some people stop off at, because of money. They already have the money. They already have the wealth. I mean, they already have the power to a certain degree. But what agenda are they pushing towards? Who is pushing towards what agenda? And why? Granted, there are plenty of people who gotten enough money, drugs, sex, whatever. They've gotten those things out of the arrangement. But the people who are at the top of it, what are they pushing for? Because when you already have all those things, you have other motivations. I look at somebody like Elon Musk, who is considered the world's wealthiest man, or, at least on paper, is the world's most wealthy man. Why, if that was any of us, will we feel this need to get up every day and go into the office or spend days and hours working? No. Most of us would do something that we absolutely love, spend time with our families, enjoy, try to see how we can better improve, not try to see how I can squeeze an extra dollar every minute. Now I get maybe his project is really believing in going to Mars. I think some of that is because he fears a future that's coming, that he figures that is a good way to escape. I think people above him know that that's kind of a fool's errand. So they let this not very smart man do not very smart things, wasting a whole lot of money and time to keep him occupied, as long as he's a good stooge to do what they need. I'm working on becoming a mailman free. Oh, what's up? Emmanuel's in the building. World domination, comfort, and vainglory. This is what these folks are in pursuit of. Yeah, I think some degrees of them are, but the ones where that's all it is, well, the world domination is the key thing that you said there. Who wants world domination? And once they get world domination, what do they want to do with this world domination? What specifically do they want to do? And I think we're going to allude to that a little bit later on in this. Let's see. I think I can go on ahead and probably delete that story. I don't need to keep that up. And so clear some of these. Because if you guys saw what I have going across the top, I got a gazillion things wide open. And so hopefully I can streamline this a little bit better so we can get into some of these things. So, as we know, let's see, what is it? Mars is faking gay. Oh, that's hilarious. Nobody too serious thinks humans can survive for very long on Mars. I don't think we can get to Mars. I really don't. I think it's a fool's errand. And I think that's the reason why they put Elon Musk on it, because they let a fool chase his errand. The U.S. has publicly historically been against a one world government, at least one through the United Nations. I think that, like I said last night on Saturday Night Anarchy. I don't believe it's through a one world government, how some people kind of put it out. And I know where that comes from. That comes from people loosely going from that whole belief of the Antichrist. And this belief of the Antichrist creating a one world government and this one, excuse me, and this one leader that rules over everything. And I think that's where mostly a lot of that thinking comes from, even though some of those people who propose it are proposing it from a secular angle. And that idea has gotten propagated through a secular angle. I think that's where that initially even comes from. It comes from them thinking of this one world order with this one man on top who's pushing the buttons of the whole entire world. Well, the world is a huge, complicated place for one person to try to be in charge of. And so that whole idea just never made sense to me, especially when you see, I know they say, oh, it's a small world. It's a small world because a lot of people go to a lot of the same areas. But when you try to govern all of this stuff, it's extremely complex. I mean, it's hard enough just governing some American states, and think we have 50 states, and many of our states are larger than countries. And then think, if many of our states are larger than countries, and you can fit the whole continent of North America into Africa like 4 times, and then you have billions of people within China and India. How can one person try to rule over all of this? It doesn't make sense. It's never made sense to me. So what you would need, kind of like how the UN runs, is the UN, the EU, none of that runs independent. The United States basically rules all of them and runs them through a proxy. And if you dig back through ancient civilizations, it hasn't changed much since then. And what I mean by that is, if you look at the Roman Empire, or you look at the Greek Empire, for instance, those countries or those empires ran their empire, and they basically would conquer over a certain area and then leave it as a vassal state. So they leave some proxy who's in charge, who are running things, and basically they were fine with just getting their taxation from it. And so in that way, it was mostly just about wealth. Well, at this point now, it's not so much about wealth anymore, because they have the wealth. They have the wealth, they have the power in ways which they never could have imagined. When you look at these older societies, the reason why there was never enough wealth is because what happens if you get a drought? What happens if, there's a plague, there's a famine? You need other resources from somewhere else. That's not a problem anymore with how you can ship things all around the world. You can easily, like, for instance, and when we talk about this whole attack, the planes flew and did air refueling, meaning they flew all the way from Whiteman, Missouri, Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri, which I've been to, and one of my memories of it is very, very, very nice barracks and a very great chow hall. But they flew all the way from there to Iran straight with, I think, probably refuel. And they probably had to refuel like maybe 2 or 3 times. 2 or 3 times one way. But it's the same thing with ships. We refueled out to sea also. We would stay out to sea for weeks, weeks at a time. And the refueling was done at sea. Doesn't want you talking about barbecue. I don't know. Bankers are the new kings. Well, presidents to a degree are the new kings also. Because if you really think about it, the kings still had councils that they had to do. Like, this caricature of that a king just had ultimate power to do whatever he wanted at all times. Not necessarily true. There was always like councils and pushbacks that allowed the king to do. He had a certain amount of things that he can do, but all kings had advisors, all of them. That's some good coffee. All right, so done with that one. So let's get into it. All of them had it. So going back to what I was saying. Oh, Abby Dew is in the building. Finally caught the show live. Yes. All of them definitely always had councils. And as you started getting closer to the end of a lot of these empires, from them being kings and them translated into democracies, all it would take is for a king to do something that went awry, and then they would lose that said power to operate, autonomously. So what would eventually happen is a king would decide, oh, he's going to war with this, and it creates some kind of famine, or war breaks out and poverty and, a whole bunch of destruction, a whole lot of death. And then next thing you know, that king is getting cooed and somebody's taking over the kingdom. Or he dies or whatever. There were plenty of circumstances that would lead to the end of monarchies. And the reason why most of the monarchies that still exist to this day, especially in Europe, whether we're talking about Denmark or talking about the UK, is because they don't exercise any of their power. The moment that they did, you would see basically the end of their monarchies. So monarchies always operated with some degree of a council. So they're no different than a lot of our presidents now. And I think right now, President Trump is pushing towards he's pushing towards a dangerous precedent, I would say. Because he's starting to do more and more of the things he's doing. He's just completely bypassing Congress on everything. And he's trying to run it as if he's a monarch. Yeah, no king's protest was dumb. It's well, here's the thing. It was wrong focused. It was wrong headed. And if you look at the people who were organizing it, if you look into it's easy to see why stuff like that goes nowhere, and it just becomes a virtue signal, a larger signal, and it never actually accomplishes anything. Michael says the British monarchy only continues to exist precisely because it continues not to exercise its power in any public way. Exactly. The moment it does that, you will see, the House of Commons, convening a session instantly to yank their ass right out of power. So going into this Trump thing, I want to see, maybe I can find the video of his speech. Let's see. Apologies for not having this already up, but I want to share his speech in case we didn't already see it. Come on, catch up, computer. So let's see, Trump's speech. So here we go. I guess I probably better share it on the screen too. Does no good if I'm the only one watching. So here we go. Let's skip this ahead. Let's make sure the volume's up.
Thank you very much. A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin-Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago. Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say, we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So I want to take this back to the beginning, and I want to take this piece by piece, because it's just easier to do it that way. And gosh, there's so much that frustrates me. And yes, this dude, I often wonder, like, and people can say it's whatever. I wonder, like, did he just like not do anything in school at all? Because like he speaks, his grammar is like on the level of like a third grader. I'm not even trying to be funny. I'm like, this dude, it's the greatest, the worst is worst, the biggest. Like, dude, you improve your vocabulary. Like, use more words. Like, it's so frustrating listening to somebody who's clearly a very dumb person. Who has, and it's not even just they're clearly a dumb person. It's a dumb person with power to do a lot of dangerous shit. And not only do dangerous shit, but that can keep the world on a whim, holding their breath at any moment. That's frustrating to me. I don't mind. Honestly, I preferred even a George Bush where, though I felt he was dumb, I thought he was more measured. I think Trump is dumb enough to not even realize the dangers that he's even in. Because when you're a person who's been allowed to just get away with everything your whole entire life, how do you know where the boundaries are? How do you know when you've gone too far? You don't. You do something that goes too far, and then everybody has to deal with the consequences of it. And sometimes when you get to a level like this, the consequences can be dire. It can be dramatic. So let's just take this back, and I want to go piece by piece by piece. Because I definitely have a lot to say from what I was hearing. So let me start this back, and let me, I'll mute up in and out because I know it'll get the echo.
Precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime, Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise.
Now, I had to stop that already because that's where the tricky framing comes in. These nuclear enterprises, what are they exactly doing there? Do you even know what they're doing there? You don't. Enriching uranium in itself is not bad. I mean, also, if you run off of nuclear power, you have to enrich uranium. Every time you enrich uranium, it does not always have to do with making a nuclear bomb. And I've even heard a lot of Trump supporters, MAGA, trying to allude to the fact of Iran already has the bomb. That's why they had to do this. This is the level of this cult who feels this need to defend. And why I think the MAGA cult is a little bit different is there's always been people who support their sides. There's always been the Democrats who they're going to always find a way to try to spin it for whichever Democrats in power. There's been always that side for the Republicans. But the reason why you could play that game with the party is because every single person in that party, there's at least 1 or 2 people who are saying, well, no, I don't agree with this, and giving you some room to be able to both sides an issue. The same thing with the Republican Party. You can have there are people who were not for these strikes, and then there are people for these strikes. There are people who were saying, hey, we're doing too much for Israel, and there's people who are saying, no, we're not doing enough. We need to do more for Israel. When it's a single person, a person is able, it's harder to parse those things because you're able to see, no, this isn't 2 separate people who have independent thoughts. I can believe one thing, and like Teal, my co-host, can believe something different because we're individuals. I can't by myself have 2 contradicting thoughts and be taken seriously. But for somehow, Trump supporters allow this man to hold both sides of every issue, and don't at all reflect on the fact of he's just outright fucking lying, and you're just going with it. Let's continue.
Objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the.
I would argue that either us or Iran is the #1 sponsor of terrorism, but we'll continue.
World that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
That's another thing that I want to stop right there. How do we, just because the strikes, now military language, you can say a strike is successful because boom, the operation, we flew in, we got within the airspace, we were able to launch, we didn't lose a single plane, we hit the targets that we meant to hit. That's a successful strike. But to go to the level of saying they were complete, that they were completely demolished, how do you know that? It's underground. You have no clue what's going on actually once you get 300, 400 feet underground. You also don't know the full avenues of how that's set up. How do we know that they didn't already tunnel hundreds of miles somewhere else, and what you're hitting is just one of the entry points to get in there? How do you know that that's not a dummy site at this point? Because you don't have the intel all the way inside of the tunnels. So to speak so confidently about how successful this attack was and that it's completely demolished, it reminds me a whole lot of George Bush putting his, mission accomplished banner up. Put mission accomplished banner up, and yet how many more years were we still fighting in Iraq? This is the problem when you have people who get out there and they say things and they haven't even double checked the information. And I would argue there's no way to actually know the full capabilities of what happened. I would argue also that if anything, if let's say, for instance, they weren't in a process of enriching to get a nuclear bomb. If I'm Iran, I damn sure am now. You guys say it's going to be 2 weeks till we get the bomb. I will guarantee that it will be 2 weeks till we get the bomb if I'm Iran. Because it seems like the only way you can have deterrence is if you have a nuke. That's the only way America is going to think twice about doing this kind of stuff. Now, even if they got the nuke, do I think that they would fire it on America? No. No, I don't. Because I think that they're a little bit more rational in the way that they think about statecraft and the way they think about war. Only somebody who doesn't have war fought on their grounds don't get the gravity of it and the severity of it. They're having their cities bombed on a regular basis. I think they understand the severity of it. And I think because we sit so far away from things as Americans, many people are cavalier about it because the thought is it's going to happen in your neighborhood, not mine. And it's the same thing that you're seeing with a lot of these Israelis. As they're starting to get these strikes happen in Haifa, in Tel Aviv, now many of them are, I want peace. Let's have peace. Because it's easy when you're bombing somebody else and the war happens on somebody else's land. When you start to see the destruction, then it starts to click to you like, oh, damn, that's what this is like. So let me continue.
Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make.
How the hell can you call Iran the bully of the Middle East when Israel is literally invading every one of their freaking neighbors? Israel has literally fought in the last, 75 years that they've been there. They have been to war with everybody in the Middle East. Everybody. And right now, within the past, 2 years, they've invaded 3 countries and are fighting 5. And Iran is the bully of the Middle East?
Peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off.
This pushback, because I've seen this online a lot, people talking about the death to America chant. So fucking what? I don't give a shit if you say death to me. Saying words is not the same as actions. An ant can walk past me and say death to Marcus every day. Does the ant have the ability to harm me? No. This whole, they've been saying it, okay. Well, and then he starts talking about Iran has been blowing off the arms of service members and all that. Yeah, they've been involved in war on the other side of us. They haven't just been randomly firing on us. And why were they blowing off the arms of servicemen and women? Because we're in one of their allies' land fighting a war against them because of weapons of mass destruction that weren't there. We're the aggressor. You can't be the aggressor in a situation and then mad when shit happens to you and then play victim. And that's what I think when I look at this idiot and the Three Stooges behind him. All three of these are puppets. You got the neocon there, Rubio, who has been waiting for war everywhere because he's been sitting in these, these think tanks that told him it's a great idea. JD Vance is just willing to do whatever he can do to get to the top. And so his technocratic puppet masters are like, yeah, this'll get you there. And I honestly think part of this might even be a ploy to make Trump look so bad that if he does get impeached or dies off, it slides JD Vance right into place. And this idiot Hegseth over here he's one of those people who's been, oh, we got to get the ragheads. He's one of those type of people who he comes at it from, the most simplistic way. He went into war. We're the goodies. They're the baddies. Let's fight. And it's no more thought than that. And so we're sitting here with one behind him, Rubio, who is, and I honestly think his warhawk nature comes behind making money. It comes behind the military contractors, how much money they're able to make, and never thinking about the fact that it can come over here. Hegseth doesn't care because he's the dumb frontline soldier who's just wanting to fight, and you've promoted this idiot all the way to the top. And you got Mr. Opportunist over here behind him, surrounded by, and following a completely bought and paid for corrupt leader that you see in front of him. And I'm going to say this again. I'm going to push back on people who talk about this is the greatest bait and switch. This is not the greatest bait and switch. If you paid any attention to this man, I was saying this before the election, Trump treats this country like it's a chop shop. He's selling everything off to the highest bidder because this man, if he's anything, he is transactional. You give me this, I'll give you that. And let's just continue.
Off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around.
Wait a minute. We lost over 1,000 people. How many people did they lose? It's not factoring that. How many people did they lose because of us entering into their country or entering into Iraq? Hell, how many people did they lose because of us starting a coup of their country in the 50s? We're continuously putting our nose in business that is not ours and then complain when somebody wants to push back against us.
Around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would.
And let's keep in mind, Qasem Soleimani was actually helping us at that time fight against ISIS, right? But all he has to be told is from his puppet masters that, hey, we want this person out. And the whole reason why they went after Qasem Soleimani is because Israel figured that it would help trigger the war to get United States involved. They figured that Iran would be so pissed off by killing such a beloved leader that it would get America into the war even then. That's the sole reason why, but this dummy can't see that he's being played.
Would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for.
You haven't gone a long way to erasing this threat. It's just begun. This is just begun. This is just the beginning. And these idiots like Hegseth and Rubio behind him, and you can look at them. They got that little stern look on their face, all proud, because they believed once we do this, this ends it. It shuts everything up. And I've heard those type of people. I've heard them. Yeah, if we go do this and do this, this will shut everything up. No, that's not true. It's not how things work, because you can't sit there and attack somebody and think that they're going to come to you with a smile on their face after you've just attacked them. Everybody has a certain level of pride. And you think that you killing some of their people, damaging some of their stuff is, oh, they're going to clutch their pearls because they haven't experienced that before? It's us that if we face this, we haven't experienced that before. We are going to be the ones who cry about it. And there are things that they can do without having to attack America directly that we will feel.
For the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raising Cane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than.
There will be peace or there'll be war. Don't say tragedy. There will be peace or there will be war. And it's not going to be one-sided like he's trying to make it out to, because this whole message also is to coax Americans into supporting this. They want your permission to do this.
We have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all.
And when they say there are many targets left for Iran right now, they have over 50,000 servicemen who are completely. America, we have over 50,000 service members who are exposed right now. By doing this, he literally put a lot of those soldiers who are overseas life completely in harm's way. And if you got family members who are sitting over there, are you happy about this strike? Are you happy that your son or daughter might come back in a body bag because he decided to do this? When he didn't need to do this, he did this all because somebody else basically told him he was a chicken if he didn't do it. And also because of a completely, I think on behalf of a society full of insane people who are basically in a suicide pact. You've got them to gas you into doing this. And I'm talking specifically of Bibi Netanyahu, the Israeli Society, Miriam Adelson. They're on a suicide pact. Now, Miriam Adelson's going to sit over here comfortably and nothing's going to happen to her. And she's going to bemoan and wail and cry about it, for however many years she has left on this earth. Probably won't be long. I mean, she is an older woman. I think she's probably Trump's age. But this is not going to just end this way. When you start going like this, and I get it, bullies are used to slapping somebody in the face and they think everybody's just going to lay down after that. Even if they lay down in that moment, that does not mean that's over. It can be a couple of days, couple of weeks, couple of years. Your get back is always coming.
Far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight.
That right there, I got to stop it. That's a goddamn lie. There are other militaries that could do what we did. There are other militaries, and the reason why I feel it's important to bring that up is because when you say there are not other militaries that can do what we did, it coaxes you into the belief system that we are perfectly saved, that somebody else couldn't do an attack like this on us. Now, granted, do these countries exactly have the same weaponry, the GBU-57, which was used, and which we don't even know how many were used and the effectiveness of them? Because I gather when he said 30,000-pound bombs, that's about the weight of a GBU-57 bunker buster. And I also just want to put this clarification in there because some people believe like Russia, China, everybody, this is all kind of coordinated and like everybody's actually on the same side. They're just pretending they're not. This is where I said that earlier in the show. I'm not necessarily on the same page with everybody else on that. I believe that there are other interests at play, and I feel because many people have been so stuck in the I don't know the what I don't want to call anybody this. I mean, there's a lot of people who have seen Western superiority for so long that believe that we're all on the same page, that everybody is happy and everybody's perfectly fine with the US hegemony just controlling and dominating and pushing everybody around and playing second fiddle. I am not in that camp of people who believe that that's what's going on and all these countries are complete controlled opposition. I don't believe that. I believe that they have been. I believe that they've been forced into a vassal position. But like I've said before, and I'll bring this up, it's the Victor Sweet, analogy. The moment there's an ability to be able to push back against the person who's been bullying you, you're going to take it. And if you see that you can swing on them and it hurts them, it emboldens you and it emboldens people around you to say, you know what? We don't have to take this shit no more. I am not in the camp of believing that all of these countries are so weakened that they're just going to sit around and allow the West to just dominate them forever. I just don't believe that. I don't believe that they're all just, we're just sitting here and just, eating crow and allowing them to just treat us like shit. No, I don't buy that. I believe that there is a contingent of people in other nations, the Chinas, the Russias, who are like, yo, this is our time to not have to be their bitch anymore. So let's continue with a little bit more of this.
Not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago. Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And so to close on that, why would God bless this behavior? Why would he bless this behavior? Yeah, I mean, I think it's hilarious that you think that God is on the side of this. I wonder what happened to my chat. The chat's disappeared. There we go. Yes, definitely. Oh, let me scroll back. See. Okay, cool. Gotta switch the Rumble stream over to mob rules in about 10 minutes. Oh, I didn't see that. All right, so I see Steve has switched this over. Oh, that's probably why I've had a bunch of people flood over to here. Yeah, sorry, stream was not seeing all my chats for some reason. All right, well, hopefully the rest of the chat will come in eventually and I'll be able to see it again. Actually, let me try taking it away and bringing it back. I don't know why. That's weird. Half of the chat is just complete. Oh, but there we go. Whoa, now I'm flooded with a whole bunch of stuff. So apologies for any of the chats that I missed. Shout out, I see Bulla's in the building. So at least he didn't say God bless Israel the last part. And so you can't see the now you're still up on Rumble for another couple minutes. Okay. Well, good. At least it got that part in through the Rumble side. Shout out Saul. And I guess so. Remember, I said before that this has been something that is why I said that Trump is being tricked into something. And for anybody who's been paying attention to this, you guys know it also. So let me share this video with you.
If you take away the Soviet Union and its chief proxy, the PLO, international terrorism would collapse.
If you take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee you that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region. Obviously, we'd like to see a regime change, at least I would, in Iran, just as I would like to see in Iraq. The question now is a practical question. What is the best place to proceed? It's not a question of whether Iraq's regime should be taken out, but when should it be taken out?
Are there any other nations that you would recommend that the United States launch preemptive attacks upon at this point?
The answer is categorically yes. The two nations that are competing with each other, who will be the first to achieve nuclear weapons, is Iraq and Iran. A third nation, by the way, is Libya as well. Libya is trying very rapidly to build an atomic bomb capability.
We'll stand together to stop Iran's march of conquest, subjugation, and terror. I know that no matter on which side of the aisle you sit, you stand with Israel.
So as you can see, he's been going for literally since the 80s. He's been literally going since the 80s, trying to get us to go and fight their wars. And if you guys just think it's the Middle East, no, Russia is one of those also. So this whole continuously trying to provoke Russia into war, this is on behalf of Netanyahu also. And teasing Ukraine with, yeah, we'll make you a NATO ally and all that stuff. This is all on purpose. Says we love Marcus, even though he's a Chiefs fan. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, the Greater Palestine Project is underway. And here I'm gonna play another video. A reminder: this is a goodie, a oldie but a goodie. You guys will know about this one because if you're gonna pull up Netanyahu's, you need to pull this one up also.
I knew why, because I'd been through the Pentagon right after 9/11. About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me. And one of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, No. He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs," meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran. I said, is it classified? He said, yes, sir. I said, well, don't show it to me.
So did y'all hear that, right? You hear that? 7 nations. It was Iraq, Iran. Let me drop that off the screen. Okay. So, yeah, so welcome to, oh, that's right. We were already on BitChute, but welcome to the BitChute audience. But says, the 7 nations. You had Iraq, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and I'm missing one in there. Did I say Libya? Did I miss Libya? But these 7 nations, Israel has always wanted to attack. They've always wanted to attack. And include Russia. And you can throw a bunch of other nations in there also. The hammer and nail remark was military management language 100%. And that's Pete Hegseth. Again, that's him 1000%. The dude literally has tattoos that are basically, you know, us against Arabs. I mean, that's what this guy is all about and wired for. So I just wanted to show that and get that on the record again for those who hadn't seen it, those who needed to see it. So let me get into what I believe is going to happen from that. What is next? The question that I asked. Well, we already saw that overnight, Iran already responded to Haifa and Tel Aviv, sending over, I think it was over 27 missiles. What's next is Israel can still be hit. And if I'm the Iranians right now, I'm taking down the Iron Dome completely to a point where it cannot be brought back up. So it's going to take for you to get out there and be out there for long enough for me to launch another one to take you out while you're still sitting there. Because I want to have those skies completely open so I can launch on it whenever, wherever I want. That's what I would be doing if I'm them. Also, without even actually striking anything, they can close the Straits of Hormuz. And that we would feel directly. Shutting off the oil getting around. That's something that could be done immediately. And how do you hurt Americans? Hit them in the pockets. That's the best way to do it, and that's the easiest, most effective way to do it. So Trump and his idiot brigade has gotten everybody thinking that, yeah, we just go smack them in the face and that's good enough. Well, here's the thing. Military guys don't think about money. They don't think about markets. They're not thinking about banking. They're not thinking about your interest rates going up. They're not thinking about oil. They're thinking about tactically, if I attack this, this goes down. We get advantage this way. When you're dealing with a war of country versus country, you have to think in totality. You can't just think of war strategy. You need to think of economy. You need to think of how that's going to affect your markets, how that's going to affect your population. Is that going to make your city safer? Are you now opened up for possible acts of asymmetrical warfare or terrorism? And everybody's focused so much about the southern border. There could be people coming from the northern border. There could be people who are already here. There could be Americans who decide to attack. I mean, during after 9/11, we did have plenty of young, good old white boys coming out of like places like Idaho and stuff who became jihadists. So this mentality of thinking that only threats you have to worry are coming from overseas, or thinking, oh, well, they got sleeper cells all over the place. You don't have to worry about that. There's so many other ways that you could be attacked. And to think that you're going to sit there and keep launching on Iran when something like probably 80% or more of China's oil comes from Iran, you don't think that they're going to take that threat seriously? You would literally be tanking their economy. Now, right now, they have all these plans, and China thinks on 100-year plan timelines. They think far, far out in advance. This will completely destroy all that stuff they have for the future, and take China back 50 years or more. You think they're going to take that line down? They all have, you know, not only China, but Russia. They have interests in the area. You think you hit some more of these targets that the Russians have, that's not going to incur retaliations? That's why I said Israel is a country that's on a suicide pact. The war is not going to be fought somewhere else. The war is going to be fought in Israel too. And it's going to come a time where it's not just going to be blowing up a building here and there. You're going to start getting casualties, high numbers of casualties. Because this is what I probably would have done if I was them. I would have flew in Iranian jets and I would have took over the airspace of Gaza. Then I would have marched troops right across the border into Israel. Forget the Iron Dome. I'm marching ground troops right into Israel. Now what? And the moment you do that, or I take off enough of that Iron Dome on the northern side, let anybody who wants to slip in from Lebanon, somebody wants to slip in from Syria, y'all want to get in on this? That's why I say Israel is a suicide pact. They are. You've been doing so much harm and damage to people around you for so long, and you're giving all the opportunities for them to finally attack you. And at the same time in Gaza, they're just ramping things up. So you only have a certain amount of ammunition that you can use. And the whole mindset is we're going to get the U.S. to fight our battle for us. Okay. You're going to get the U.S. to fight your battle for it, while the U.S. is still fighting multiple battles on many fronts. Shout out. I see Anna in the building. Shout out to Anna. Shout out to DC. Peace, Dove. You guys, this is a very dangerous game that's being played, and I do not believe like there's some controlled opposition sitting on the Iranian side. I don't believe Russia is controlled opposition. I don't believe China is controlled opposition. Do I believe that there are people who are sitting behind the scenes that are trying to play both sides? Yeah. But they do have a goal they're trying to reach, and I don't believe that this is the intended goal. Because I look at this, when we talk about, you know, America and the Western powers going down, where do you move this new empire to if it's not within the Western countries? You definitely can't move it to China. Can't move it to Russia. You've been treating these people like shit for years. How you gonna move it over there? It don't make sense. It don't add up. So that's my spiel on that. Let me close a couple more of these links so I can see what the hell I got across the top. Because I did say that I wanted to show you guys some stuff. Oh yeah, for those who haven't seen like some of what it looks like in Israel, Let's share some of that. Let's share some of that. What is it looking like in Israel right now? This is as of a day ago, and I'm pretty sure it's worse by now. I don't know if I can find that video. I'll share it. Actually, I'll just mute it. Let's check this out. And got so many streaks across the sky, it just looks like chemtrails. And you see, these are direct hits now. I remember a lot of people like, oh, well, we don't think they're being very effective. And it doesn't look like they're really hitting anything. No, the goal was to get the iron. The goal was to get the Iron Dome batteries to start weakening and dropping. That was the goal. So now you can launch the real ordnance. Like, I'll tell you this, the United States, I've been in plenty of our weapons mags to tell you, man, we got plenty of old stuff that's sitting there. And the reason why they're not going to just get rid of that ordnance, sometimes they sell some of it, but we use some of that ordnance to weaken defenses, to use our less expensive stuff, so that when you're completely vulnerable, that's when we can launch the heavy stuff. And I tell you, I believe that this GBU, this cluster warhead, this is what Iran has been using. That's why you guys see that multiple spray going down. They're sending basically a ballistic missile that opens and spins multiple projectiles. It makes it harder for the Iron Dome battery system to be able to track all those multiple threats. And it allows you to, it's almost like shooting buckshot out of a shotgun. Multiple sprays of damage. That's the reason why you see like whole windows and all these coming out of these towers. And this is part of Israel's financial district. Imagine the Wall Street Exchange looking like this. And they didn't have to have this happen to them. They didn't have to. But you have so many people who are fanatical, who they really believe it. God is backing them to do this. And this is why I keep calling them a suicide pact. They're a nation on a suicide pact who believe that God is supporting them doing all of this. And think about it right now. Iran Iran hasn't even like really took in all the stuff that they can. I imagine after this attack, hopefully they've reconsidered and they're going to take air support from Russia, because Russia's offered. But the moment that they do that, a lot of these American attacks are going to, next time they attack, I guarantee you these bombers won't have a straight path through. And like I saw somebody online talking about, dropping the MOPs. When you drop these MOPs, it has to be a continual bombing run, continual. And if you do multiple attack after multiple attack, eventually you're going to start having planes get shot down. Now, do I believe that they're going to fire on one of our carrier groups with a ballistic missile? No, because Trump is one of the most unhinged presidents that he would possibly drop a nuke on Iran. And if he did that, y'all can figure out what will probably happen. So this is, in fact, let me see if I can find that one video. So I saw a video that was going into, in fact, I saw, man, I wonder if I can find that video of, was it Smotrich? I think it might have been Smotrich. Let's see if I can find it. There was a video where I think it's Ben Gavir was on the streets and people were like pissed at him for like, what the hell is this? Why we, you know, why are we getting hit like this and everything? And he's like, well, I mean, we didn't really know Iran had these capabilities. This is what happens when you let pride, pride fill you up. Let's see. There's many other scriptures I had that I wanted to bring up. I'm not going to bring those up at this point, but that's a little bit about that. Now, those people who asked me to read a little bit about Obadiah, and there's a reason I'm not just randomly bringing this up. It's fitting for a reason why I want to bring up this scripture in particular. So let me put it on the screen. This is like one of my favorite books of the Bible, and it's literally the shortest book of the Bible. It's literally just like, I think it's like 20 verses. And so I want to read this to you all. And I want you guys to tell me what you get from this, what this reminds you of. And I want you to think in terms of right now. Now, this version, I don't think I've read it in this version, so it'll be interesting. I'm reading it from the NIV. Click on it. There we go. So this is what it says. Obadiah's vision. The vision of Obadiah. This is what the sovereign Lord says about Edom. We have heard a message from the Lord, and an envoy was sent to the nations to say, rise, let us go against her for battle. See, I will make you small among the nations. You will be utterly despised. The pride of your heart has deceived you. You who live in the clefts of the rocks and have made your home on the heights. You who say to yourself, who can bring me down to the ground? Though you soar like an eagle and make your nest amongst the stars, from there I will bring you down, declares the Lord. If these came to you, if robbers in the night, oh, what a disaster awaits you. Who they would not steal only as much as they wanted. If grape pickers came to you, would they not leave a few grapes? But how Esau will be ransacked, as his hidden treasures pillaged. All your allies will force you to the border. Your friends will deceive you and overpower you. Those who eat your bread will set a trap for you, but you will not detect it. In that day, declares the Lord, will I not destroy the wise men of Edom, those of understanding in the mountains of Esau. Your warriors, Teman, will be terrified, and everyone in Esau's mountains will be cut down in the slaughter. Because of your violence against your brother Jacob, you will be overcome with shame. You will be destroyed forever. On that day you stood aloof while strangers carried off his wealth and foreigners entered his gates and cast lots for Jerusalem. You were like one of them. You should not have gloated over your brother in the day of his misfortune, nor rejoice over the people of Judah in the day of their destruction, nor boast so much in the day of their trouble. You should not march through the gates of my people in the day of their disaster, nor gloat over them in their calamity, in the day of their disaster, nor seize their wealth in the day of their disaster. You should not wait at the crossroads to cut down their fugitives, nor hand over their survivors in the day of their trouble. The day of the Lord is near for all nations. As you have done, it will be done to you. Your deeds will return upon your own head. Just as you drank on my holy hill, so the nations will drink continually. They will drink and will be as if they have never been before. Well, never been. But on Mount Zion will be deliverance. It will be holy, and Jacob will possess his inheritance. Jacob will be a fire, and Joseph will be a flame, and Esau will be for stubble. and they will set him on fire and destroy him. There will be no survivors from Esau. The Lord has spoken. People from the Negev will occupy the mountains of Esau, and the people from the foothills will possess the land of the Philistines. They will occupy the fields of Ephraim and Samaria, and Benjamin will possess Gilead. Exile who are in Canaan and will possess the land as far as Zarephath. The exiles from Jerusalem who are in Sepharad will possess the towns of Negev. Deliverers will go up on Mount Zion to govern the mountains of Esau, and the kingdom will be the Lord's. So I don't know how many people caught that, and what you guys take from that. But I wanted to read that, and I want you guys to go through it bit by bit, the book of Obadiah, and see if you see any corollaries, if you see anything that ties that scripture to modern times. Or maybe I'm just tripping. Maybe that has nothing to do with nothing. Maybe that's something that happened thousands of years ago. But what do you think? What do you think when you read that? Is it just fairy tales? It's just myth? What is it? Not sure Israel not is where his people are. I can read more scriptures that tell you that the Israelites would be kicked out, basically, and other people would be there. His people were everywhere and nowhere. Getting a circumcision does not make anyone chosen. That's called a fundamental attribution error. I think that there's a lot of intentional deception going on. And with a lot of these evangelicals, how they've taken the people of the Christian faith and switched them into Israel firsters. Look no further than the Scofield Bible. And if you've never heard of the Scofield Bible and this sounds strange to you, ask your pastor about the Scofield Bible. Or if you don't have necessarily a pastor because you don't go to church anymore, ask your pastor about the Scofield Bible. Because I guarantee you in seminary school, they know about it. Let's see. Evangelicals are Zionist cult doomsday. Exactly. And all of that goes into, an improper understanding of the text in general. Let's see. I think materialism and murder is Satan is what I heard. Yeah, that's correct. But I see more in there. See, I can relate that to Africans. They were warned about the coming of Assyrians and Babylonians. That they were. Well, they weren't only warned. They were warned about the Syrians, the Babylonians, the Medes, the Persians, the Greeks, and the Romans. I mean, if you go into Daniel's vision, Daniel gives a prophecy breakdown of all that, and Daniel's vision ties to the visions in Revelations also. Zionism, Christians, and Israeli. Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, the whole belief system of Christianity, as far as end times and it was hijacked, and that's how they got these Christians, and I would say white evangelicals mainly, not only because it's, how do I say it? Like, for instance, in my church, I the last church that I was like a part of going to would have been an AME Zion church, though I grew up in Baptist and Protestant, and I've been to Catholic Mass a few times. My uncle was AME Zion pastor, and so I would say between Baptist and AME Zion was what I went to mostly. And though there is this tie of like, kind of propping Israel up, when I went to more of one of these like mixed churches or like the more new age churches, it's a lot more emphasis on the land of Israel, modern day Israel, and the people of Israel, and trying to help them and send money. I mean, some of these churches are literally sending money to Israel. And so it's not just the governments who are sending and helping this nation. It's many churches all over the world who are sending money to Israel. That's where, when you start wondering, like, why is like a lot of Indians this connection to India and Israel? A lot of those Indians are some of the most fervent Israel supporters, and it has to do all with the doctrine that was pushed into their country about blessing Israel. Let's see. John says, Jeremiah Wright was far ahead of his time, and I covered a video on that, and Fox News went after me for that video because it was criticizing Jeremiah Wright and Sean Hannity. Saul says, as a child, I went to church because my parents were blind. Now, as an adult, I learned that religion killed off my native people. Well, like I say, a tool can be used in many different ways. A tool can be used to help, a tool can be used to build, a tool can be used to hurt. Now, I don't take that faith for the same as what the people decided to use it for. And a lot of the missionaries, all of that was colonization. And it was a way of cloaking themselves in a feeling that we're not the baddies. We're doing good. We're helping these people. That like how they talk about peace through force. Only a duplicitous, hypocritical, lying nation like America could come up with some shit like that. We're going to be peaceful by beating you up. Then by us kicking your ass, you won't want to fight anymore. That's their mentality. Oh, well, we're going to go conquer over these savages and kill all of them and do all these horrific things to teach them God's message of love. This goes into somebody brought it up. What is it? Not divine conquer. I can't remember what it's called, but about how the Europeans were given this mentality that they need to go forth in the world and spread Christianity. And something I would say back also, Saul, is the Bible and the faith that was in the Bible didn't come from Europe. It was hijacked by Europe. And Europe supplanted their viewpoints onto it and then rebranded it as what they wanted to use it as a tool for conquest. Exactly. DC. I got to put this one on the screen. It says, ironically, the New Testament is the only text of the Abrahamic religion that doesn't explicitly emphasize violence justified in the name of religion. However, Christianity has objectively amassed the largest death count. Exactly, because that's not what the book is telling them to do. They're doing their own thing and trying to, and that's the reason why they didn't want a lot of people reading the book. Yes, racism is definitely mental abuse. And this is none of this whole religion and anything. None of this is about religion. It's about conquest. It's about theft. Pure, plain, and simple. So, let's see. There, I can end on that. I mean, I can end that stuff on that note. I mean, hell, what was it I was going to bring up? I could have brought up. I mean, I could bring up more and more scripture on some of those things. But that's right. This one. I want to show this one next because I told you, even with all that said, Trump supporters are still going to find a way to square it. And this shows an example of no matter what is said, no matter what is believed that Trump did, his most ardent supporters, there's never going to be a, yeah, okay, this is where we get off the train at. This is where we stop rocking with Trump. There's never going to be that with them. No matter what is said, they are going to make an excuse for this man, no matter what. So let me find it. Is that the right one? Okay. So it says MAGA supporters listen to fake Trump recordings. Can a psychologist please explain what happened here?
We're going to start out, and I want to share some leaked audio. And, this is audio of Trump saying some things, and we need your candid thoughts on what to do, right? This is not out at this point, but we need to have a plan in place on how to react and respond to this stuff if it ends up in the media. So.
Look, I need cameras in the dressing room. Cameras on the wall, cameras on the floor, aimed up at their whatevers. I want the best cameras set up by the best Chinamen. Understand? Yeah, well, that could be a violation. It's to make sure that they're safe. Safe? I mean, look, I can't be there all day. I'll just start grabbing them. Believe me, for them, not me. I'm a man. They're beautiful women. It's totally natural. Sometimes I'll walk in naked. So then we're all naked. I mean, if they file a complaint against me, I can file it right back at them. The Jew lawyer taught me that one.
We need to have a plan in place on how to react and respond to this stuff if it ends up in the media.
Well, this is obviously old. It's before he decided he was going to be a politician. I personally don't care. I just don't care.
See, I like him because he says, I like him because he says, I do love it when he says what everybody thinks and won't say. And with that personality goes those kind of comments most of the time.
As a man, I know I've been in situations, we've been in locker rooms, it's man talk. I've done it, said it, they've done it, said it. I've been around plenty of men, professional. I mean, you name it, every man has said something to the effects that,
that they'd like to put the camera in a teenage girl's changing room.
All right, we're going to move on to the next one.
We'll be back with lots more of Donald Trump. Don't go away.
Okay, so am I doing all right, Larry? Because I'm a little woozy. I just get back from giving blood for this paternity test.
So what do they have to say?
It's for Ivanka. I'm double checking that she's really my daughter. I don't want to go my whole life and find out that she was fair game after all,
Her own book.
It's just that she's voluptuous, successful, and, frankly, I heard she's great in bed.
And we're back in 5,
Okay.
4.
Does oral count as incest?
We're back with Donald Trump. We're going to be all over the board tonight.
Okay, so how do you feel about this one?
He's complimenting his daughter, like in his head type of thing.
Yes, it's crass because that is his own daughter. He's still a human male. As a male, I do say some things.
We're going to start out, and I want to share some leaked audio. And, this is audio of Trump saying some things, and we need your.
So these mofos found a way still to make an excuse for if Trump was to put cameras in to watch underage girls. They made an excuse for if this at that time would have been a 50, 60-year-old man to walk in on underage girls naked. They made an excuse. They justified that. They made an excuse to justify even if Trump was trying to get a paternity order because he wanted to sleep with his daughter. That's understandable. Like, these people are sick in the head. They will justify anything. They will literally justify anything. Trump could kill 12 people on TV and they will find an excuse and you'd be like, well, what did they do? No, all these people were monks that just got out of, they've been fasting. They've done nothing wrong. Well, I mean, there must have been something that they did, and Trump had to do it to protect us because, like, they're part of the deep state. They will lie and lie and lie to protect this man no matter what. That's the reason why when people say it was a bait and switch, I can't buy it. It wasn't a bait and switch. You willingly chose to ignore clear and plain, obvious information in front of you that was everywhere. You'd have to search for it. You chose to ignore it. And so bait and switch, it applies this notion we're tricked. How did Trump trick or fool anybody from what he is and what he's done? Or what he is? He is a crook. He is an untrustworthy human being, period. He's a liar. Now, if you think it's funny and entertaining, okay, cool. If you agree with what he's doing, you can say that. But to try to, there's no, like, I guarantee, I don't care. And people who want to say, oh, well, the other side does this and does that. You could take the most beloved politicians on the so-called left and run this same tape, and you would immediately watch their supporters turn on them. But for some reason, there ain't nothing a MAGA person could do. There's nothing Trump could do to ever have MAGA turn against him. Not real MAGA. I think fake Trump recordings means it was just a test, but it's an example of ethically dubious testing strategy, testing without informed consent to get an honest reaction. I'm pretty sure afterwards they probably told them that they were fake recordings. I'm pretty sure that they did. Well, what they did with the whole Biden thing is they made it as if they weren't sure. If there would have been a tape that came out with Biden on the tape saying what he did to Tara Reade clearly, where it's undisputable, it gets rid of that whole. It gets rid of that whole. Well, we don't know if we can trust her. It gets rid of that. So they still were able to use that, questioning her credibility, because at that point it becomes a he said, she said, which I believe Tara Reade. I 1000% believe it. When I've talked to her, when we interviewed her on the show, I mean, to me, she came across as 100% sincere. And she had, in my opinion, corresponding evidence that leaded me to believe that, this backs up what she's saying. Her mom calling Larry King, around that time period, recounting doctor's visits. I mean, visits to psychiatrists, dealing with the trauma of that. Like, there were multiple things that she showed that made me definitely, believe that this woman was 1000% credible in telling the truth. And granted, I get it. We're in the day and age where you got to question everything. You should be questioning everything. But Tara Reid, I don't question her story at all. And just looking at Biden's weird behavior over the years, I have to believe he definitely did, what was said. Oh, did Marcus cover Ted Cruz on Tucker? No, I didn't actually. So since that was brought up, did anybody else catch the Tucker interview? I watched the whole thing just so that if I was questioned on it, I could bring it up. And it was wow. It was eye-opening. It shows me that these people don't really know what they're talking about or what they're doing. Ted Cruz doesn't know but honestly, we saw this Bush. George Bush didn't know the difference between a Sunni and a Shiite. He didn't know the histories that these countries have. And that's the problem with our leaders. None of them care to learn it. They know, I like Israel. Israel say they bad, they bad. That's it. There's no more thought to them. These are deeply incurious people. And they get a check and they bury their head in the sand. Even Tucker actually surprised me when he said, are you saying that what they were saying back then for the Israelites ties to the nation of Israel that was created in what was it, 1948? Are you saying that that's the same Israel of the Bible? And Ted Cruz really couldn't answer that. I've seen Tucker Carlson interview Ted Cruz plenty of times before. But this time, Tucker was very defensive for most of that interview. So I thought it was just very interesting. Of course, Ted Cruz thinks he killed it because Ted Cruz is a freaking idiot. The guy's an idiot. And he showed me he doesn't really think much of anything through. Like he said, my family, they ran from Cuba and Batista, under communism. Batista wasn't a communist. But that's when, and that's something I've seen reflective of a lot of people on the right. They believe all forms of authoritarianism is just communist, Marxist, whatever. And what that tells me is y'all don't know what none of this shit means, do you? You don't know what none of these terms mean at all. You just throw them out there. What you're meaning, the proper term would be authoritarians. You can make an argument that Castro was an authoritarian. You can make an argument that Batista was an authoritarian, but you can't say they both were communists because they both were not. Batista was not. Batista was a capitalist. Because one of the first things that Castro started doing once he took power is he started nationalizing all of the capitalist businesses. Yes, exactly. Buzzwords. These people don't know what any of this shit means. And I have this conversation. I try to put this out to people who lean more to the right, whether you be a libertarian, whatever you decide to be a conservative. There are people who are center left, independents, who may not agree with you on policy, but will listen to you when you make a point. If you say stuff that makes sense, when you start calling everything communist, Marxist, whatever, people just turn their ears off to you because they know you're just spouting propaganda. You don't know what you're talking about. And for somebody who's open to listening to multiple different sides, That's the reason why the right didn't get through with any of the criticisms that they were saying to Obama outside of their circle groups. I mean, I put it this way. When I used to hear the term Democrat Party, I immediately would stop listening to you, because I know where the whole calling it Democrat instead of Democratic, you're not even using proper grammar. You're using that because I can't remember, was it Grover Norquist or some conservative back in the day that was like, no, messaging wise, we should start calling the Democrat Party. And because, it emphasizes the rat in there. If I know you're coming from that biased way of using language and words, then I already know that you're a completely biased person. So what you're saying is not coming from a legitimate criticism. And if you're not coming, and if I know that you have an opposing theory, and I know you're not a credible actor, your message gets you nowhere. And isn't it important to get people to hear your message? Why would you poison the well before you even get your words out? Did you know libertarian and communist are originally synonymous? It's true. Interesting. Yeah, it says correct. It's the wording. The lies slide in, and it's true. You get somewhere, and it makes a difference how you use these words. I've had discussions with people, and I've slipped or going back and forth, and I mixed one thing here in there. I knew the truth of it, but I just mixed up the words. Like for instance, I think I was talking about Turkey, and I was like, yeah, most of it's in Asia. I was meaning to say most of it's in Europe, and a chunk of it's in Asia. But getting that one detail aside, threw away all the other points that I was making about it that were solid. And when you're dealing with somebody who's trying to be on the other side of the issue, or who is not just trying to, who is just on the other side of the issue, they're going to look for an exit ramp to get off and to discredit everything you say. And the moment you throw out something like that, boom, that gives them all the ammunition in the world to discredit everything you say. See, says there's an irony here where Marxism is all about dialectical materialism, yet it depends on the interpretation and spread of ideas that have to be understood in the mind to practice in reality. I agree 1000% with that. I definitely do. So now I've talked about religion, I've talked about Trump and this and that. Let me see if I can find something for everybody that's not as heavy. That's a little lighthearted and fun that I believe we all can agree on and find enjoyment in. So let me see if I got this video fired up. Not that one. I can close that one out. But I saw this. Oh, sorry. This video, I'm positive this is probably AI. I don't see how this is real, but if it is real, this is awesome. But I just thought that this is something that can change up the mood a little bit and give us a little bit of something fun to deal with. Not sports, but you're close. Not sports, but it's close. Let's see. Here we go. Come on, I want to know which dog was your favorite. Who killed it the most? Exactly. Hell no, no way. Hell no. I thought it was hilarious watching these dogs do food. I know it's definitely AI, but come on. I thought that was pretty creative. Who came up with that? You know, and I honestly I think I would pay. I think I would pay to go watch dogs in the Olympics. Yeah, that's funny. Warren in the building talking about just another wet bitch. That's hilarious. The corgi, I agree, Peace Dove. I think the corgi killed it the most. What else did I have in there? Oh yeah, that's right. Crazy ass woman. I gotta find, where'd the crazy girl go? Yeah, I guess that's the one I can kind of leave on. And I was like, at first I thought this had to be some kind of a prank. I couldn't believe that this was real. But then I was like, no, I looked it up and this was real. Because it first starts off and it looks like it's not real, but I was like, wow, this woman needs to. Here, I'll just play it. Oh, that's right. Let me share my screen first. Hopefully, anybody who's flying anywhere, hopefully your flights don't go this way. Hopefully you don't have to deal with this on your flights. Where'd it go?
You can't do that. Let go over here. I'm not, Andre. I'm not even touching your hair, bitch.
You need to let go right now.
You need those 911.
You need to let go.
911.
You need to let go right now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't want to sit next to a fucking fat lady.
Let go over here. Let go over here.
You guys are already past the point of no return. You're already past the point of no return. Let go of her hair, miss. Y'all see me. You know what's going on. It's just retarded. Yeah, put me on the ground. Put me on the ground. Alright. Look at this fat lady. Look at this fat ass bitch. She can't even look. You can't even see her stomach. It's horrible. Look at her outfit. Look at this fat ass bitch. Hilarious. You can't even show your mouth because you're embarrassed. You can't even see it because you're embarrassed. Shut the fuck up.
Who is Alana?
Sorry, I can't hear you. I can't hear you, ugly ass fucking dude who's never gonna lay it again. Okay, I'm sorry, black guy. My boyfriend's black, so shut the fuck up. My boyfriend's fucking a black guy. My boyfriend's a black. My boyfriend's black. My boyfriend's a fucking black guy. You're joking. Oh my god. We're not doing all that. Shut the fuck up. 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 Yeah, of course she's done. Shut the fuck up. Ugly ass bitch, you're so fucking. Wait, you guys, you never got laid in your life. Your boyfriend's dick is like 2 inches big. That's embarrassing. I'm so sorry about your boyfriend. That's horrible. That's horrible. I can't breathe. 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 Okay. Let me go. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Shut the fuck up. I can't breathe. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Nobody's fucking touching me. Fuck you. You're not letting me go, motherfucker. You're corny as fuck. Nobody's letting me go. I can get out. Yeah, you shouldn't get out. You're fucking fat as shit. You're disgusting fat as. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fat ass mistake. Fuck you. You're so beautiful. You're stunning. Shut the fuck up. Can anybody do something, please? Get the fuck up. No. Yeah, okay, then okay, I'm sorry. My person is blocking. No, you're like no, my birthday's fine. You need to shut the fuck up and respect him. You need to shut the fuck up. My birthday's fine. You need to fucking class. My boyfriend is fine. Alright, I can do that. No, you need to fucking shut the fuck up. Fuck you! Fuck you! Leave me the fuck alone. Look at how ugly I feel. No. You're so fucking fat. Leave me fucking alone. You're fucking disgusting. Don't fucking touch me.
So why don't you jump over here? She can damage this stuff.
Yeah, I'll damage all.
Stay there.
Don't touch people.
No.
Yeah, I was just thinking like, yo, if I'm the security on that plane, those people cuffed her. At that point, you already cuffed her. Pick her ass up and drag her little bony ass off that plane. I don't get why you're just letting this chick kick and spit and oh gosh. And for people out there in interracial relationships, if you're a black guy dating a white girl, this video definitely gives you a little bit of a black eye. Oh man. Definitely not a definitely makes you like think twice about some of this crazy shit going on out there. And like, yo, she might be cool. And she could end up like that too. You just never know. Saul says, I am violent. I stay out of society. I have zero tolerance for bullshit. Yeah. Abby says, I'm babysitting this weekend to take this baby in his first Juneteenth celebration. Headed out now. Remember, joyful throughout all this chaos and is a revolutionary act. Yes, I agree. Yes, stay joyful. That is a good way to be revolutionary. And that's the way you push back on these things. I mean, and shout out to those who if there's Juneteenth things going on in your area this weekend and you're out doing them. I talked about Juneteenth a little bit during the week at work, and somebody kind of gave a little snarky response. I'm like, well, where I grew up, we had Juneteenth celebrations going since way before anybody else was doing this national. So for me, it was kind of surreal that it became like a national holiday. But like for us, we had been celebrating Juneteenth for quite some time at KC. My cousin there, he can attest to it. Remember out at Ladarius, remember out at Swole Park? They used to always have Juneteenth celebrations. And especially if you're from Texas, Juneteenth is definitely nothing new to you. So yeah, it says black eye, spit in the face, and some other shit. Yeah. I don't know what was wrong with that woman, but I don't know. I see situations like that, and that's when I'm like, yeah, you need that asshole cop, that one who just gonna grab you and sling you around. And another thing that's terrible about it is the fact of using the I can't breathe. Now, when it is somebody who is down by the cops and the foot or a knee on their back and they can't breathe, now you're giving that cop an excuse to not take their knee or foot off of them, because they could say, oh, it's just like you're faking. She needs a cucumber. Maybe that's what it is. She's missing her cucumber. Maybe it's been an hour. It's been too long. So come back home. No, I'm just playing. I know I messed up those Jodeci lyrics, but y'all know where I was going with it. Yeah, you got to be careful with that. You got to be careful with that. You never know. And sometimes I say it could just be dangerous, not just because of that girl, but you and her, everything could be great, but travel to the wrong part of the city or wrong part of the state, and situations can get crazy. But she needs to tune into the BBC. Pretty girls like that expect and are usually giving everything they want. They don't react well to just one of the rest of us. Yeah. Says she seems possibly schizophrenic. Yeah, I don't know what the deal was. I just want to show it because it's like, wow. I know if I'm the one they wouldn't need a stretcher if it's me. If I was like the so-called, if I was Southwest staff, we would not have needed all that stuff. I would have literally just grabbed her arms behind her and dragged her off of that plane, no matter what the hell she's hitting and how she hits it. Arms getting bruised up, head hitting stuff. I'm going to get you up off that plane, especially you've already been assaulting people. You're assaulting the staff. You're spitting on people. I'm going to get you off that plane, and we can deal with it from there. But you're not going to keep attacking and hitting other people. Period. But that said, I mean, that's all I got. Get ready to wind this show on down. I still got I don't know if you guys can't see it, of course, but show you. Move that out of the way. Show you what I got that I've been working with and playing around with. Let's see if I can actually move it. I guess I'll just let's see. Can I get it? Ah, dang it, I unplugged it. But anyway, show you. Got my soundboard over here now. And so I got to play with this and figure out how this shit fucking works. And once I figure out the soundboard, we're gonna have a little bit of fun. Yeah, you can't see, like it lights up and all kind of cool lights and stuff. So I don't know. We'll play around with that throughout the week and get it figured out, and then we can add a little bit more fun to the show. But yeah, that's it. I got the feeling we're probably gonna see some crazy stuff go on, and I imagine by this time, say a month from now, we'll probably be, if things don't completely die down right after this, then we're probably going to be in full-blown World War III. So that said, make sure you guys are stocking up on water, toilet paper, whatever kind of emergency supplies that you're going to need, non-perishables. Get all that stuff straight. Get you guys like if you have any kind of like solar kits, generators, whatever, get all that stuff ahead of time before things start hitting the fan. So that said, as Warren says, great show and chat. Stay frosty, y'all. And I'm going to close out. And oh yeah, that's right. I probably will. If you guys see, maybe later on today, you might see test stream. I'll probably be trying to play around with this in the volumes and stuff. So if anybody is not doing anything and they see it up and they want to hop on and kind of help me, cool. If you don't, I completely understand. There's no problem. But yeah, if you see it live and you want to hop on, it'll be because I'm playing around with the soundboard and trying to figure it out. So that said, appreciate y'all. Much love to y'all. Hopefully it's not too crazy, and I'm wrong about what I'm seeing and what I think is coming. But I think this can be a very, very dicey, crazy week, and I don't think we're going to be seeing in 2 weeks I'll let you know. I already knew when he said the 2 weeks bullshit. All Trump was doing was just trying to get past Friday and not have the markets go crazy when he does his attack. I knew it wasn't going to take 2 weeks. I knew it was happening this weekend. It was just a matter of when. But that said, please, as it scrolls across the bottom and reminds you, please like this, give it a like, share. If you're not subscribing and watching, please subscribe. It does so much. Suggested to somebody else. I realize I'm getting closer to hitting that 1,000 mark. I know I'm not gonna get monetized anyway. And getting monetized isn't the purpose. It's just, I don't know, a personal goal. I wanted the show to hit over 1,000 subscribers. And so that would be just cool to get there. And so if y'all can help me get there, much appreciated. And anybody else who's listening somewhere else, if you haven't subscribed yet and you watch it, go ahead, please subscribe, man. Help me get there. That said, this is the Political Matrix. I'm your host, Marcus Young Morpheus Cage. And that said, guys, have a good one.
There is discrimination in this world, and slavery and slaughter and starvation. Governments repress their people. Millions are trapped in poverty, while the nation grows rich, and wealth is lavished on armaments everywhere. These are differing evils, but they are the common works of man. They reflect the imperfection of human justice, the inadequacy of human compassion, our lack of sensibility towards the suffering of our fellows. But we can perhaps remember, even if only for a time, those who live with us are our brothers, that they share with us the same short moment of life, that they seek as we do, nothing but the chance to live out their lives in purpose and happiness, winning what satisfaction and fulfillment they can.